Greetings my friend. Yes you. It looks like you dropped by to my video because you were interested in building a website with routing using the popular React front-end framework with Tailwind CSS. Well, look no further because your friend Brian will build an example project for you. And by the end of this video you should be able to make multi-page websites from scratch like it's nothing.
Let's go!
Before we get a crack on, make sure you are familiar with the basic fundamentals of React and that you can confidently style a site using CSS. With that said, let's head over to the terminal. Lucky for us, setting up a React.js project is pretty straightforward nowadays. All we have to do is run this following command and let Vite handle the rest of our setup. If you prefer to use a different package manager, then make sure to run the appropriate command for that instead of mine. Whilst this is all getting set up for us, I'm going to show you guys a quick demo of the fun project which we'll be building. The project we will be building is a website for a fake non-profit organization called Penguins of Antarctica. Right now you are seeing the landing page for this site. Over here is a hamburger menu which when you click on, as you can guess, displays a modal for links to other pages in the site for quick navigation. Tailwind CSS makes it easy as well for us to create responsive sites. This site for instance can be viewed on devices with screens no wider than 1280 pixels, so basically anything that isn't wider than a desktop monitor, which isn't an issue for us. I don't want to spoil too much for this project, so we'll head back to our terminal because our setup should be finished by now, which it is. I want to give a quick overview of the project that has been set up so that you are at least familiar with what has been generated. Inside of our project, we find that there is an index.html file which runs a script called main.tsx that renders an app component and imports styles from the index.css file which is used by the component globally for consistent styling. There will some extra setup which we'll need to do in order for routing between pages. But for the meantime, to get you guys playing around with Tailwind CSS, we'll just set that up and work on the landing page right away. Now that our code base is cleaned up a little, let's set up Tailwind CSS. There are only two commands we need to run which will enable us to use Tailwind CSS in our project. In my directory, you may have noticed a new file called tailwind.config.js which just got added right now. This file is really important for configuring Tailwind CSS such as extending or overriding our theme, as well as for adding useful plugins which we can use to extend Tailwind itself. To make it clear to Tailwind CSS which files we want to target, we specify here in the content property an array of rejects to the path of our files. Finally, we head to our index.css file we saw earlier that is now empty because all we will be needing for now are these 3 lines.
Okay.
To test that our Tailwind CSS has been set up correctly, I've replaced the content of our app component with an element that uses Tailwind classes. So if we open up our terminal again and run a development server, we should see our text once our website has been loaded up. Superb. I think this is an appropriate time for me to remind you to drop a like for the algorithm because you might forget to since we are now heading over to the fun part of the project, coding. I'm going to display my code editor and the website side by side because we will be implementing this website using the mobile-first approach since that is part of Tailwind's philosophy, and therefore recommended to us to adopt, so we will. Let's get rid of this boilerplate code and add that background image for our landing page of the lovely penguins we saw earlier. To that we need to use the prefix pg followed by what we want to modify. In this case, we would like for the image to be a reference to an image I saved in my public folder called landing.bkg. Fantastic. Now we've got to add the headline for this page, which shouldn't be hard. That doesn't look right because I remembered the font looking a little more expressive like a Comic Sans font. To use the font for the website we saw earlier at the start, we just need to head back to our Tailwind CSS config file and update our theme. There were 2 custom fonts which were used in that website. Tailwind CSS by default has its own selected set of font families, so we can just override them and use our own like so. In the meantime, while I'm here I might as well include the colors we need to use for this project. Let's go back to our headline text and add the styles we wanted. Lovely. In the next video we will continue where we left off and add the responsive nav menu we saw on the demo and finish up our landing page.